So let people take heroin and then go to the doctor because they become addicts. Why don't you just not become an addict in the first place?
Well, that's an absurd...
Yeah, and that's a very stupid point. If they could control themselves from being addicts, they wouldn't be an addict. In donut.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack.
Should we legalize all drugs? With Zach Polanski and Carole Malone. This is a very interesting take. Video by Jeremy Storm and Vanessa on 5. This is a very interesting topic, I'm not going to lie. Because if you don't know, in the UK, weed is still illegal, bruv. Weed is still illegal, but if you're in possession of such a small amount, you won't get any thing happen to your criminal record, anything like that. You just get a slap on the wrist and move on. At least that's, to my knowledge, that's what's the case. But obviously, if you have a large amount, then yeah, you're obviously gonna get jail time. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have watched this video before, and I have some thoughts that I wanna express as we go on in the video. Love me chatting, let's get into it, bro.
Now, should the UK legalise all drugs? We're taking your calls 0207862222. Zach's party has made it a policy to make all drugs from cannabis to heroin and crack cocaine legal in the UK. The Green Party believes drug abuse is a public health issue and should therefore not be a criminal offence, so that people can access health and social care services without fear. Currently, possession of Class A drugs can carry a prison sentence of up to 7 years, and those who supply them could get even longer. For Class B or Class C drugs like cannabis, ketamine or anabolic steroids, the penalty can range from 2 to 5 years in prison.
Right.
But you don't think people should be punished? That's the key thought here, isn't it?
Well, some drugs can be really dangerous. So I think the question here is about the fact the war on drugs has failed. We know people are going to take drugs. So when they're legalised, they also need to be regulated, and that's the key bit here. Now, are they going to be regulated or unregulated as they are right now on the black market by gangs? It could be serving anything and could be putting them in the hands of kids. Or are we going to make sure actually that medical health professionals and people who can actually care for people who have problematic relationships with drugs can legalise and regulate all drugs to make sure we know exactly what's in the drugs?
And we go to the top ones.
Right. Can't lie, it's a radical take. But the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. Having children have the option of getting drugs, it should never be a thing, bro. Ever. Like, before you're 25, you should not be taking drugs in any capacity. It only just ruins the development of your brain, especially if you're a man, because your brain doesn't develop until you hit the age of 25. Yeah, I'm not even fully developed yet, bruv. Yeah, and I've taken ganja in the past, and trust me, that hey, I already know that shit fucked me up a little bit, bro. But hey, I'm still here. I'm not even advocating for people to ever take it. Don't take that shit. But the point he's trying to make here, instead of letting people just take unregulated drugs, unsafe drugs, drugs that have who knows whatever the fuck's in them, because you don't know what's in them drugs. You don't know what's in them. And if you're already gonna go down the road of taking drugs anyway, you might as well have a safer option so that you're not risking your life or anything like that. And that just makes sense to me, right? And when he brought up the kids, right? The woman in this video, she tries to make it, oh, why would I let my kid do that? But he literally said it's regulated, and instead kids are getting it from, people are getting it from the black market and are giving it to kids. He never said that the NHS should ever give drugs to kids. That's insane, bro. If it's regulated, kids can't get it. Obviously, kids always find a way, but it's much harder for a drug dealer to be able to sell drugs to kids because they can't be caught smoking at all. Hey, it's a better option, man. But let's continue.
Go to the I haven't had any of these. I don't know what they're like, but heroin, crack cocaine, Crystal, the Breaking Bad scenario, the guy wouldn't have to brew it in his caravan, he could do it in his front room?
Well, even more so, it wouldn't be in the front room, it'd be about ultimately making sure that's on prescription or it comes from a medical health professional.
Right.
As opposed to people, again, doing these things on the street or alleyways and having a whole illegal drug trade.
And you, I don't know when this came out, whether it came out by accident or just you announced it as a policy. What was it, in an interview or what?
It's been Green Party policy for a long time, but I did something called the regional interviews, which is where you go around the country, and it's the one that did Liz Truss in. She did it really badly. Thankfully, I had a really, really good day, and I was asked about, is this still your policy? I said, absolutely, and they said, do you not think it's controversial? And I said, I think the controversial thing is the fact that right now there's so many unnecessary drug deaths. There's an organisation called Anyone's Child who works with families whose children and grandchildren have been the victims of drugs, and they're saying, actually, we think they should be legalised and regulated because it could have saved the lives of our children and grandchildren.
See, it just makes so much sense. So imagine how many people have died. I don't even have to imagine. Stats on the screen. That many people have died from unregulated drugs. Those people could have been saved, bro. Now, I'm not gonna lie, like this isn't something that is almost impossible to implement, right? But at least he tries. He's trying to do this. He's actually trying to make a real change, a real option for people, right? Because who's to say, well, who's to say people are going to just go to the NHS anyway? The fact is, the NHS already has they're not funded enough. There's not enough people to test these things, right? If he just straight out comes in and just says, everything's legal, every drug is legal, without getting a regulated drug first, by getting proper tests done, that's crazy, man. What did Duke Dennis say? It's all about execution, my bro. It's all about execution. If he implements it correctly, this could save a lot of lives. 100%. And the guy in the video who will bring up I think it's either the woman or the girl. No, it's either the woman or the man. The woman or the girl. Who brings up the point about Portugal. Now I'll let them get to that point.
If I wanted to have some heroin, I'd go to the doctor and I'd have to persuade her that I had a need for it, or that I just wanted to have a lot of fun at the weekends. And then she would sell me, would she, a syringe or something? I mean, and I'd go and then just shoot up somewhere, or?
Well, it would have to not be for profit, so it'd be public sector.
Right.
But also, this wouldn't be about using heroin for fun. This would be about someone with a problematic addiction.
Ah, okay. Carole, what do you think?
Well, I think you need to do a bit of research, Zach, and I think you're peddling very dangerous policies here. You need to do some research. There hasn't been a war on drugs in this country for the last 50 years. This country has...
What did she say? What did she say? There wasn't a war on drugs for the last 50 years, or there was?
A bit of research, Zach, and I think you're peddling very dangerous policies here. You need to do some research. There hasn't been a war on drugs in this country for the last 50 years. This country has, by stealth, been decriminalising drugs for the last 50 years.
And yet, there's how many people who still take drugs? I think she's missed the point. She's missed something very important. When you get rid of one guy who's doing something bad, another guy just replaces him the next year. So yes, the Secret Service has been taking down drug lords at an increasing rate over the last 50 years. But why are drugs still on our streets? It's because there's always somebody to sell it to. But if they have nobody to sell it to, the regular goers, then guess what? Business is gone.
Cannabis in this country still, by law, holds a maximum of a 5-year prison sentence. No one that I know in the last 30, 40 years has been sent to jail for that. Anyway, but what I hear you doing...
Sorry, when she goes, I'm like... That's probably going to be me in 50 years with this vape, Bev. Like, let's be real, Bev. Let's be real, Bev.
Which I think is terrifying.
Don't smoke, kids. Don't smoke.
You're literally campaigning for vulnerable young people to be taking more drugs.
And once again, she missed the complete point. He literally said only addicted people who are already addicted to the substance, giving them a healthier alternative that doesn't increase the mortality rate. And he specifically said, instead of having these black market dealers sell to children, they'd be regulated to where children eventually can try them, maybe, but I doubt it's going to be something where you can just go down to the shop and buy it, you know what I mean?
Advocating giving them free poison. You are advocating young people to stupefy themselves, causing possible brain damage. And what? In the name of a civil liberty? In the name
Would they
of
not be
freedom?
doing it anyway? That's his point. That
Well,
they,
my big point is in Portugal they did this. Drug death reduced to 80%.
I'm so glad.
Also, there is no evidence.
Now, he said drug death, even though she started talking over him, not letting him speak. He said drug death in Portugal decreased by 80%. Let me see if that's true. Has drug deaths in Portugal dropped by 80% ever? No, the claim that drug deaths in Portugal dropped by 80% is not clearly supported by the data. Here's a breakdown of what the evidence shows. Following Portugal's decriminalisation of personal drug use in 2001, some sources claim over 80% reduction in overdose deaths. For example, one fact sheet states deaths decreased from 80 in 2001 to 16 in 2012. However, other more cautious analysis show that while there was a decline, the numbers are less clear and may have subsequently risen again. For example, one report states deaths dropped by 369 in 1999 to 152 in 2003, but then climbed to 314 by 2007. 2021 study of 20 years of the policy concludes the outcome are encouraging, but stipulates there are contradictions and ambiguities. So although there were significant declines in drug-related deaths in Portugal after the policy change, the evidence does not robustly support a clean, sustained drop of 80% across the board. The size of the drop depends on the specific years compared, and some increases follow the initial declines. If you like, blah 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 blah. So it did happen for a year or two, but then it did rise up again.
There is no evidence that legalising something. There is no evidence that legalising something.
You don't get away with mentioning Portugal with hearing the truth about Portugal.
I was just finishing my point, Carol, despite you shouting me down.
Do not mention Portugal.
Okay, hang on. Let's show. This is like Fawlty Towers mentioning the war. You do Portugal. Okay. And then Carol will respond on Portugal.
Please let me respond.
There is no link across the whole world between legalising something and someone doing it more. Ultimately, we need to make sure that people are protected, that they are safe. So you're actually making the opposite of the argument.
But what's the Portugal point?
The Portugal point is that when they legalised drugs in Portugal, drug deaths have reduced 80%.
Okay, what's your answer to that?
My answer to...
For only a year, compared to what years you compare, yes, that is true.
That is, you clearly haven't done any research, because even great supporters who 10 years ago supported Portugal are now going against it. The government in Portugal is now talking about criminalising drug use again because it's out of control. The number of people the number of hospitalisations in Portugal for cannabis taking, for psychotic episodes and schizophrenic episodes has increased 30-fold in the first 5 years that the policy was introduced. People are now saying that the mayor of Porto, the second biggest city in Portugal, is saying that this policy helps no one anymore. It's actually killing kids. It's actually
would
getting
more
kids
people
hooked on
take drugs if they legal?
So once again, she's making it about the kids when Polanski hasn't once said that he will give drugs to kids. Not once. Right? So her attacking children, fair enough. Clearly there must be some type of policy in Portugal to where kids are allowed to take drugs when their brain is not developed. It's not put in place yet. It's not been put in place correctly for saving children.
More people have taken drugs in Portugal.
That's just not true. I mean, it's just not true. We need to look at the science and the information.
Let him answer.
And the data.
He's not going to talk about Portugal because he doesn't know the facts.
This Portugal thing's
great. The Washington Post has just done a massive investigation into the Portugal scenario and said it's not working.
I mean, what we're hearing here is the right wing in countries are very unhappy that there is now.
Hang on, Carol, just a sec. Let Zach get it. Zach's first time on the show since he became Green leader. Let's let him have at least one sentence.
He's peddling nonsense.
Yeah, but you've got to let him
speak.
Carol to shout peddling nonsense after that rant is quite some audacity.
I'm not peddling. I'm peddling facts. I'm peddling facts, and you smiling and pretending to be all thinking about. These are are facts.
I'm
You
laughing
haven't
because
read them.
medical health professionals are saying over and over again, who I trust more than you, Carol,
I'm
are saying
not
that
laughing.
Hang on,
ultimately
Carol.
this is a way to deal with unnecessary drug deaths. And although I'm smiling, this is a really serious issue.
Sorry, King's
Drugs
College
can be really, really
King's
dangerous.
College
Just
London
a sec.
King's College London
this
report
isn't really a
recently
debate, is it?
talking
No.
about the dangers of drugs. The Yale School of Medicine talking about the dangers of drugs. You haven't read
We
them.
know
And
drugs.
I'm
We all
talking
know
about the
that-
dangers of drugs.
They-
I'm saying,
You all know that drugs are
let's make
dangerous,
sure
darling.
that drugs are safer by being in a regulated market rather than
do you
being in a
think-
black market where gangs and county lines.
You think that in countries that have decriminalised...
Why do you not care about vulnerable children, Carol?
no,
Why
I'm
do you not
asking
care
you a
about the
question.
vulnerable
Do you-
children that are having to sell drugs?
I do.
What
That's
about
my
Zach?
point.
What about this objection that my kids, I like to think, are law-abiding, and therefore one thing that puts them off taking heavy-duty drugs, taking crystal meth, is that they know they'd be breaking the law. Once they know it's not, I lose a tool to persuade them. So, for example, when my
Yeah, fair enough, right? You have a tool that you can no longer use on your children. Fair enough. You make a good point. However, the point but Polanski has been trying to tell you, man, is if they were already going to take drugs, at least give them a safer alternative. It just makes sense.
my 18-year-old says she wants a tattoo, I can't say to her, don't get one, because she says, I'm 18, it's legal, I'm going to have one. And she went ahead and got one. When my 18-year-old then says, I want to take heroin, crack, and crystal meth all in the same evening, I can't say it's illegal, because Zach says it isn't.
Well, the first thing is I don't want young people, or indeed anyone, taking those drugs. So this isn't
That's
about...
But you've taken a weapon away from me.
Just like, is he missing that? Did he say he was going to allow children to take drugs? No, he never said that. Fucking donut.
As a parent.
But there's no evidence that it's actually a deterrent. And in fact, the evidence shows the opposite. Prohibition, as we know, often drives people to go where they're not getting the right
There are
information.
lots of good people who don't want to break the law. Lots of good. Look at the 20-somethings in our society. They're so law-abiding they don't even drink alcohol.
I'm not suggesting that we sell these drugs. It's not like it's a
He's
normalised
right.
thing. We could talk about alcohol. We could talk about other drugs
Yeah,
that
let's
people
do
are taking.
that. Should we do that?
And that's really destructive. So I think it's ultimately about making sure people have got the right support, education.
all
Can we
right.
talk? Can we talk?
Go on,
He's
Carol.
saying that if you legalise it, it's actually better. Talk to any customs officer. HMRC's biggest problem is the smuggling of cigarettes into this country that people don't want to pay tax on. And that's exactly what happens with drugs. And if you look at any country that has decriminalised drugs, the drug scams are doing better business than ever because people don't want to pay tax on drugs. And that's exactly
Well,
what legalising
okay,
It's a
yeah.
completely separate issue about people smuggling drugs, whether they're legal or illegal.
It's not a separate issue. Are you mad?
Let's deal with drug smuggling.
It's not a
Of course
separate
it's a
issue.
separate issue.
It might
That's
be
not
a separate
illegal
issue.
drug smuggling.
It's talking about people don't want to pay taxation on legal drugs, and so they will seek drugs that are illegal and not pay the
All right.
tax.
By the way,
First of all, who said that they will be at the same type of price? Who said the drugs are going to be at the same price? What the fuck? What's she talking about? Right, I get the taxation thing, but the taxation on cigarettes, that's a whole different bag, right? Who said they're going to keep the price at this? And besides, these cigarette companies are still companies that make these cigarettes. You know that, right? And she does know that, right? And the taxation is on these cigarette companies for making every cigarette. Yes, you have to pay a higher tax. Plus, you can't put your own branding on it, right? It's meant to deter people. But if people find other means, that's on them. It's still legal to pay for those cigarettes. It's not illegal to pay for cigarettes, right? People want to get the real thing, I guess. Fuck me, beats me, bruv. But yeah, who's to say he's gonna keep? And besides, he's saying that the NHS is going to be the one that regulates this, regulates the use of drugs. So it's not going to be a thing where people have to pay for the drug. Who said they were going to have to pay for the drug? He literally said it's meant to be a public sector, so that means it's not going to be a thing where the NHS makes money off of people buying drugs. That's not going to be a thing, right? Anyway.
We had people paying tax. That's money that could be going into our economy, helping for health and social care. We're back to the NHS.
Money that goes into
and
big
ultimately supporting
corporations.
people to be able to deal with their drug
Christine
habits.
is in Hampshire. Who's in the right here, Christine? We've got a serious disagreement.
Oh, I'm with Carol. Zach is absolutely peddling nonsense. God, please never let the Green Party get in power. Has he got children? Have you got children, Zach?
No, I don't.
Because have you got children, Zach?
No, he said no.
Right, no. Well, if you had children, you would feel completely different. You bring beautiful children with beautiful bodies and beautiful minds.
See, once again, is everybody just misses the point of this video. Like, what the fuck, bro? Never said he's gonna give it to children. Never said that. He said, I'm not gonna keep fucking repeating myself, bro. I'm not doing that shit, bro. The fucking think I am, bro.
And you want them to ruin their minds and their bodies. In fact, I feel so strongly about it. I've said this before. I would shoot drug dealers. We have no deterrent in this country. That's the trouble. They want shooting. Have you? It sounds like you might have had some experience of this in your family, Christine. Have you? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Okay. But. Oh God!
We could end drug dealing by making drugs legal and regulated.
Can we ask you a question, Zach? Zach, can we ask Zach a question? Do you take drugs? Do you take drugs, Zach?
No, I don't, but that's not...
No, I'll tell you why. No, because you don't, but you're advocating the children be allowed to take them, that young, vulnerable people who don't understand the danger.
Never said that, miss.
Outrageous allegation, Carol. I'm not advocating for children.
It's what you're doing.
He said they're dangerous. He wants them provided under a legal cover to make it safer.
Legal and regulated, so that public health professionals are making...
Drug addiction is an illness.
I think people can have problematic relationships with drugs, and I don't want people to have drug addictions. The truth is people are drug addicted, and that means are they going to go to gangs or are they going to go to public health professionals?
Guys, no, hang on.
Question, can you?
No, he didn't. He answered it in his way.
No, he didn't.
All right, James in Belfast. Hello, James.
Hello, Jeremy. Very nice to speak to you.
Who do you agree with in this discussion?
No, let's not be absolutely in fantasy right now. Yeah, implementing this is key. Right, and we already know the NHS is already defunded. They ain't got enough money to go around right now as it is. If you try and add the burden of putting on all these addicts, people who smoke drugs, take drugs, and be able to, and say, okay, let's sell drugs as well. Fucking hell, stabilization is real, right? In terms of how much people are going to be going to the hospital because. Let's say because, you know, they feel a lot safer to go to a professional health advisor. It's going to be a very big toll on the UK economy in terms of the NHS. It's going to be a big toll. How he wants to deal with that? That's why he's the politician. I'm the flipping guy behind the screen, cuz.
Well, I think it's very brave of Zach to speak for what's right and what's actually factual.
Now, I do know that in his manifesto, I think he said he wants to pledge an extra 15 or so billion towards the NHS, which, once again, I don't know where he's going to get the money from. Because I think every single politician, including the Labour Party, has said they will pledge more money to the NHS, and it hasn't done anything. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one, man.
To what's popular. Zach knows that this is an unpopular in the country, but he's still willing to speak up for the marginalised, for people like me who were that young child who could have been peddled drugs. I was 13 when I started heroin, Jeremy, and I was a child. I didn't know what I was doing.
Exactly.
This led, if I was treated as a criminal and went into prison, I would have been just taught how to drug deal. I would have been taught how to this, that, and the other.
Which is a very good point, by the way. The drug crisis inside of prisons is rampant, my guy. Spice, toilet wine, ganja, you name it, it's in the prisons, bro. So making an addict go to prison because they're an addict and they can't control it, that just makes the problem worse. So that means they're less likely to be going out on good behavior because they're around it all the bloody time. So criminalizing it doesn't really make sense. You should be criminalizing all the drug dealers, the ones that are selling these drugs illegally. Those are the ones you should be criminalizing, not the addicts.
What has happened is I've had a lifetime on drugs, on and off drugs, trying to get help, trying to fight the good fight.
Yeah.
The last person that spoke, I'm still a beautiful person. I still have a beautiful mind. I still go out every day and hope to come across somebody that I can help, hope to come across a granny, and I'm still on drugs. It doesn't make me a bad person.
Would if Zach's policy came in, though, would you not just end up being, you'd still be on drugs? You'd be getting drugs from a doctor instead of a pusher?
Pusher.
Yeah, well, this is what currently happens anyway.
A fucking pusher. Call him a dealer, bro. What the fuck we talking about? Pusher.
You get given a substitute. Prescribing is one of the ways to get off heroin, for example. And I didn't like that. It didn't agree with me. But it prevented me from, sorry, it was an injection I was getting. It prevented me from, I never injected before, and the first time I got injected was for this.
Okay, all right, yeah, I see. Okay, thank you, James. It's, you know, what we're seeing in the States with the opioid thing is close to a sort of legal provision of mind-bending substances.
But you know, what James has just described, he was talking about the substitutes they give for heroin, which is often methadone. There are as many deaths with methadone as there are with heroin. But the bottom line is he's talking about kids of his age, if there are no laws, that are going to, drugs are going to be made much more easily available.
Because that's where Zach disagrees. That's exactly the division.
When you put the drugs out there and they're more easily available, it doesn't make you use them more wisely.
Okay.
It just means they're more available to abuse.
I think the point is you'll use them more wisely if you can then get the mental health support and support of a medical health professional.
Why?
Rather than for the exact reason Jeremy said, because you're going to the
see the way he looked at her. You look at this. Look at this fucking stare down. My God, chill, Polanski.
Why? So
for the exact reason Jeremy said, because you're going to the doctor and not the pusher.
So let people take heroin and then go to the doctor because they become addicts. Why don't you just not become an addict in the first place?
Well, that's an absurd.
Yeah, and that's a very stupid point that she made. It's a very stupid point she made. If they could control themselves from being addicts, they wouldn't be an addict. Fucking donut. Can't lie. I can't believe she even said that. That's stupid. That's a stupid point. That's the video, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see already, I fully support this ideology. But one thing I will definitely say, this needs to be implemented properly. This can't just be something where as soon as he's in office with untested drugs, unregulated properly, just roll out day one. It can't be like that. It's all about execution, my friends. All about execution, man. Hope you guys enjoyed. Love.